Alright, so you've got your harness in place, but that's still not going to help you if you need to have it manufactured outside of your company, if you don't already have a harness manufacturing capabilities. So the next thing I'll do is usually I'll run a report. Now create a report, add a file. This is your configuration file. So if I just go here to wire settings, and we'll go to wire run list, and click OK, and this is just giving me a list of every wire, what connector. Now there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. You can have it so that it creates a wire run list for every connector individually, and it tells you what's connected to it. But this I've found works okay. This sends it out as a comma separated value in Excel format, but there is a workaround that I've found where you can get this back out into a proper Excel spreadsheet format, and then you can just start filtering between the connectors, and also if you had decent wire descriptions here, you could sort and filter wire descriptions. But we'll just move on to the next bit where we'll create a nail board drawing, and we'll use this data here to create a wire run table or a wire table within the drawing. So when you create that report, it will automatically put a report out into the folder where your harness is, where your main harness assembly is. And if we look across here, there's a couple that I've tried, but the wire run list is there ready to look at. So I'll start a nail board drawing, and then we'll bring in this table and then convert it to Excel format. Okay, have my drawing here ready to go. So I've got my harness model file open here, so I don't need to go really looking for anything, and I'm just going to start a nail board drawing. So it's found that I've got something open. Change that to 5:1 for a start. Sorry. Just see how big this is when it comes in. Okay, way too big. So if I just finish that, I can double click. Double click and make this 1:10. Okay, so that gives us enough room to put connector information around the outside. But if this was a big jumbled mess, you do actually have the opportunity also to lay out these the segments basically and reorder them. So if I was to double click on that, you can see here, here's all my nodes that I put in. But if we go to here, we can click on that, right click, and right click and pivot. So there's the pivot, and I can grab that and I can move it wherever I need to. If I need to sort any of these out from just to make it clearer and lay it out better on the page. So this one here again, finish, I can click on that, right click and pivot, and I could grab that, or I could grab that. But this is laid out fairly well, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. And now the next thing we want to do is we want to label all of these, but you don't have to do that manually. What you can do is double click on your harness, and you can go here to the nail board and you can select property display. Now I'm going to go for all parts. I'm going to select description and reference designation, and you'll see this is where it's important to fill out the description and the rev des in your harness when you're making it, when you set up those properties. So if I click apply now, and I get to place those, so it's telling me there, and you can see when I added that description, it's brought that property through. That's con 3, con 1, con 2. Now I'm just going to move these up a little bit. And fan out. Just bring those a little further apart, because next thing I'm going to do is property display, show you that you can actually bring in all the pins as well. You can see they're a little bit bunched there. Sometimes it's better. This is only an A3 drawing. If I made this A1 and increased the size of the harness nail board, there'd be a lot more room for those pin numbers. Okay, so I can finish that sketch, and the other thing we can do is place connector views. So I'm going to make that as 1:4. We'll make it solid. Offset that can be wherever you like, and click. And you can also select isometric views, and just so whoever's making your harness knows what connector is going on each of these. So last thing we're going to do is create a table, and I'm going to select harness demo, see if that is the right wire report. No, that is not the correct one. Okay, I've tried a couple of things. I'm not sure why it's doing it, because it'll let me export a bill of materials from another assembly, but for some reason when I go to import the table for the wiring diagram, at the moment Inventor is telling me that I don't have a copy of Excel installed. So I will try and sort that out if anyone has any questions about how to format the table, but it should be fairly self-explanatory once you get the table in there. So what we can do now is actually just go in here and dimension out this harness. And normally I put some footnotes here for how much wire I want at the end of each of these segments. It's usually 50 mil, just to allow them to, and that's how I set up these connectors. So there's about 50 to 60 millimeters before this terminates to where my wire needs to go into the connector. And if you were to send this off to a harness manufacturer, they, with these endpoint tables here correctly done so that they can tell what the wire numbers and the colors are, because this is being a bit temperamental and not letting me do it at this stage, you'll then be able to have that harness manufactured.